What's up, everybody? This is the Lazy Farmer, and I'm going to do a video here. And let me get out of OBS so you can see I'm actually in Run8 today. This video is going to be Run8 my way, and I'm discovering new ways in this sandbox simulator of how to create and build supply trains. And so I'm going to capture my entire monitor so you can see everything that I'm looking at and everything that I'm doing, and how to go about doing it. So the first thing is, as you can see in this shot here, I'm high above in my drone, looking out over the Barstow yard. If you can see my cursor right there, that's the bowl for the hump yard. This is the hump right here. You can't really see it, but there's a little shed right here that is the controller. You want to get close to that in order to configure that. We'll get into that. This is going to be the first of several videos. So this is just to give you an idea of the Barstow yard here. This is the actual receiving yard right here. So trains, your main line comes down through here. Trains that are coming in, this is from the east, Needles, coming off of the Needle subdivision. So if you have Run8 and if you have the Seligman subdivision, you'll also have trains coming from there as well. But if you get the base, the actual base game, it gives you the Needles subdivision, so you can have trains coming in from Needles. And if they're going to stop here at Barstow, they're going to come down this track here into the receiving yard here. Trains coming from Mojave or Cajon, either coming this way or this way, they're going to come into the receiving yard here if they're destined for Barstow. If they're going east, either way from Mojave or Cajon, they're going to head out and they get on the main line and just bypass the yard. Power center here, fuel here, engine repair there, car repair here. So, and then these tracks here are your outbound tracks, north side, south side. And we're going to show you that. You can actually see what's what by turning on the tags. So first thing is turn the tags on. You're going to do left shift and F8. And you'll get milepost tags turned on, but it also turns on right here. It says car repair as well too. And so as you're in, CP, WD yard, all that kind of stuff. So all this gets turned on with milepost tags. And as you travel up and down the main line, you'll see the different milepost tags. And then also the different yards. You might see, like, as an example, Victorville East, Victorville West, that kind of thing, or North South, depending on which Class 1 railroad or just whichever railroad you're using. Left control F8 will turn on the rail car unit number, or if you do left control F8 again, it turns on the destination for those rail cars, and you'll see that above the rail cars, and you'll see that later on, so keep an eye out for that. Of course, if you do shift F8 or left shift F8 or left control F8, again, it turns them all off. And then the last one is right control F8 will turn on the industry tags. That's important later on as well too, and as we get into how we can build supply trains. So to build a supply train, we need to look at the industries that are in the subdivision or subdivisions, if you have all of them like I do, which industries you can service and which locals service those industries. So the one thing that I want to show you is this screen here. This was left control and L will bring up the industry list. This is all the cars. If we're looking at a specific industry with cars that are on it, and I've cleared most of the cars on all the industries on this my particular world right now. But these are all the industries that are currently active. As I scroll down super fast, you can see that these are all the industries that are available. And if you click on like industry name, you can sort, either go up, up or down based upon alphabetical order. If you're looking for an industry, if you're looking for an industry tag, you do the same thing. You can click on industry tag, and it'll sort it based upon either increasing or decreasing the alphabet in the alphabetical order. But the one that I use the most, or the two that I actually use the most, will be local freight symbol and transport. Local freight symbol, same thing. You can click right on that, and it sorts everything out by the actual freight or local symbol. So if we're going to, like, we'll take the top few right here. Local freight symbol is KGTR. Well, that's Kingman. That'd be Kingman, Arizona. That's because I have the Seligman, the actual Arizona DLC. So it gave me those industries. So I would send a supply train, say from Barstow to Kingman, Arizona. Once it gets to Kingman, Arizona, that particular supply train would get worked, and then the local would run it out to these particular industries. Now, if I wanted to get to an industry, I can click on transport, and it would transport me to the industry. Now, I don't want to go to Arizona right now because that's not what I want to show you. That's not where I want to work. So the one that the basic one, the easiest one to work is, let me go find it here. Bear with me, guys. I'm going to scroll down the list. El Cal. Where are you? Okay, well, it scrolled right by. It's super fast. Is this one right here, El Cal 0611. El Cal 0611, and we might want to jot that down. And that will give you Borax, Edwards Air Force Base, and North American. They're all relatively close, and it's probably the easiest local to work if you're brand new to this simulator game simulator, however you want to call it. I actually call it more of a simulator than a game because you can, even though it's sandbox, depending on how serious you want to get with it or how casual you want to get with it, that's up to you. This is your virtual model railroad. That's the best way I can describe it. It's my virtual model railroad. So sometimes I want to be super diligent and do it exactly like the prototypes do. Other times it's I'm going to cheat. I'm feeling lazy. I'm whatever, Hang on a second here, guys. Okay. So we're going to take a look at that particular local. Another good one, if you really want to work a good one, is the YBK50. That's on Union Pacific. So that one actually would be a good one if you're saying you've got cars from YBK that are destined for the YBK50 local. Coming into Barstow, you could route those to the Bakersfield yard if you have that DLC, and then from the Bakersfield yard, you could send a local out through Kern Junction to work those particular industries as well too. And those there's more industries there, but there's a lot. Okay, and so we're going to get into some things that I do. So the other thing that I want to show you that is critical, very critical, is this right here. This will make your life easy, and I'm going to tell you right now, get a spreadsheet. Whether you use Google's version of their spreadsheet, I use Excel. If you have Open Office, okay, anything that can open up a CSV file and be manipulated and turn it into your particular file, that's what you want to use. I'm not advocating any one over another. I'm giving you three options. Okay, Open Office, Excel, or Google's Sheets, I think is what they call it. And I've used it. It's worked. All three of them work really well. Excel, obviously industry standard. You have to pay for it. It's a subscription service. But Open Office is free, and Google Sheets free. Pick one, just as long as you have a spreadsheet. And I'll show you why having a spreadsheet is critical. So right now, this is my entire industry list. If I click on Export Industry Configuration, it's going to do that. Every industry that I have is going to get exported, and each industry will show you on that list how many cars they can accept, what they produce, and what they and how long it takes for them to produce that. So right now here on this, I just brought up the industry configuration screen. That's left control I to bring this screen up, and I'm looking at the YBK50 here. Now I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here and I'm going to look for boron. So because we're going to work with the boron, borax. Actually, I think it might be borax. Boron's the city. Oh yeah, boron's the city. I want borax. Okay. BOR, that's confused me. So borax is at right there at the boron subyard. I'm going to call that, little siting yard right there. So this particular industry is at LCal 0611 that we were talking about, and what they can take. Well, the first thing that industry can take is acid cars. I've made some changes. So when you look at this industry here, it's not going to say 28. And I'll show you why I came up with the number 20, number of how many cars it can hold in just a moment. But so it can hold 28 acid cars, and it takes 40 hours for those acid cars to turn, and then it produces empty. So it wants loaded acid. Loaded acid cars. And 40 hours after you drop them off, 40 real hours, and I'll show you how that works also, 40 real hours, they will become empties and you can pick them up. And when you pick them up, they're going to be tagged for one of these places here. Now, BAR is Barstow, LAC, West Colton. LAC is LA County, Los Angeles. And it's actually Los Angeles, the C yard down there, or whatever they call it. There's a name for it. WCL is West Colton. RV is Roseville. So those cars will get a random one of these random tags. I tend to, if I see BAR, I mean, okay, great. The car is going to come back to Barstow, but once it gets to Barstow, where does it go from there? So any car, once it produces an empty and get tagged, I don't want it. I mean, it may come to Barstow, but it's got to go somewhere else. So I just might go ahead and pull that out. Take out Barstow and let's say PAS. Okay. Oops, it's got to be capital. PAS and then a comma. So now the car may come to Barstow, but when it gets worked through the hump, any car that's going to go up to PAS, which is, I'm drawing a blank on the name of that particular location, and I'll show you. I mean, I got a lot to show you guys. I really do. So, but basically, I know that PAS is a destination, and so now it's going to come through Barstow, but it's going to move on. We're going to, once we run it through the hump yard and then send it, on an outbound train, excuse me, on an outbound train, it'll go to its proper destination, which basically in our simulator here, that's going to take it off, whatever train that is, it's going to take it off the map. So anyway, LAC will not. There's a yard down there, so it'll actually go. If the train goes down to LAC, it'll West Colton too. It'll stop there, and it'll be another train that we can work. Roseville, it will go off the map, even though that there is a Roseville subdivision that you can play on. It is not connected to Southern California. So because of that gap, and I think there's one or two subdivisions in between Fresno, the Calwa yard, which you get Calwa, and if you have that particular subdivision, you can get the Calwa yard. So, but from between the Calwa yard and the Roseville yard, there's nothing in this game. So the train would actually leave the map. So, but what I'm trying to show you is you can actually re-simulate that train coming into the Roseville yard, so that you can work that train in the Roseville yard. And so once again, it's all how you want to use it. All right, so let's see. Next one here, it also takes boxcars. Okay, so if you notice too, I can right click and it'll highlight everything that I right click. But if I want to just click one thing, left click to highlight multiples, just like if I'm holding down the control key, which I'm not right now. Or if I just right click on, say, boxcars, then it just selects that one. So same thing, this particular industry, borax, can handle 28 cars. 50 hours turnaround time on the boxcars, and it produces loaded. So it wants empty boxcars, they're going to load them up. Whatever they make there, they're going to load them up. And the other thing it needs is two bay covered hoppers, and 28. So it's 28 cars, 30 hours, and it's going to produce loads as well too. So it wants empty 2 bay covered hoppers. And once it produces loads, same thing. It's going to get tagged with one of these destinations, and then you'll pull them out, and you can switch them out. So we know this. Now this is important. Going back to what I was showing you on the industry export industry configuration. So what I've done with that is, well, first of all, I'm going to go to this is Excel. But you can make it look the same with you can make it look the same using, whether you're using Google Sheets or if you're using OpenOffice, you can make it look the same. But the file that you're going to look for when you do the export is going to be here. You get to look at everything I have, but where I keep Run8 is on this drive. So Run8 Studios, Run8 Train Simulator version 3. I'm not going to get in why I never did have version 2, but I won't get into why I have version 2 there. And then we're going to go down to content. And then we're going to go to routes, V3 routes. And we're going to look for regions after that. It goes deep, and we're in Southern California region. And once we get into Southern California region, here's our CSV files. So when you do an export, here you can do an industry car report, you can do industry configuration, which is what we were just looking at. We can do switch lists. So if you want to print out a switch list and have that on your desk, you can always bring the switch list up on the screen. But if you're kind of like me and like to have something that you can check off on paper, hey, then you got the same thing. You can actually bring out the switch list, and so on. But when you open up the CSV file, something I want to show you that is very important that you need to make your first adjustment you need to make. So this is the CSV file. Let me go ahead and there we go. Open it all up. So, oops, hang on. If I say okay, it works better. Okay, so this is kind of what it looks like when you open it up. So there'll be some errors and you see right here, fix this in the game, which I did, so I can actually pull that out. But this particular industry right here, which is in the Kingman area, everything was because they had a comma with INC. That was whoever typed that into the simulator game initially. That comma is a delimiter, so it actually moves everything over. And so they did New Core Steel Kingman, comma, incorporated. Well, then that put the incorporated here. The NSK, which is the industry tag, was moved to here, and so on. Everything moved over, so it had to be fixed. And I did go into the game and I removed that comma between Kingman and incorporated. And then there was another one down here. I fixed that one already too. Oh no, there's one right here. Same thing. Low Hoist North America LLC or whatever it was. I removed the comma and just put in the LLC. Or you can move all that all together, just as long as you fix everything so it moves back into its proper location. So then what you can do, let's go back up here. Here's borax. So what happens is when you open the file up, you get borax, and you get the 3 lines where the borax needs the acid tank car, the box car, the 2-bay covered hopper, but you only get one local tag here. You won't get the other 2. So when you go through, and if you set up the filtering like I have, when you do that, it will only filter the one that has a tag. So you gotta kind of go through and manually fill all these in, like I've done here. Like you see, is manually fill everything in. So for the borax industry, I made sure that those 3 different types of cars all had the same local ID on it. So now I can come up here, and if I filter out, select all that and go there and say okay. Yep, I picked the right one. Ha! All right, so now I have all three of the industries on the LCAL 0611, and it shows me time, number of cars, so, and then the destinations. And the same thing here, I'm looking at, oh wait, BAR, I need to change that. Like the North American, I might just pull BAR out and leave it because it's got a lot of different destinations in it. Edwards Air Force Base, I might pull BAL out and I'll pick another destination off map. Any destination that would be off map, that would be like we're a military base. If you want to think that, it doesn't matter. It's a sandbox game. Do what you want. Okay, take it out, add another one, but you want to make sure that whatever you add is actually going to be seen as a proper destination, which really technically doesn't matter, because when you tag an engine, your lead locomotive, and say I'm going to send this locomotive to Chicago, well, every car that's connected to that locomotive is going to go to Chicago. Even if a car is supposed to go to San Diego, it's going to go to Chicago first. So it's however you want to do it. It's a sandbox game. Play with it. Have fun. All right, so this is just for reference. For me, I can tab out. I can look at this. Okay, borax, I need, acid tanks car, I can handle 36. 36. How did I come up? Wait a minute. Hold on. If I go back and look at this particular, let me get out of the industry list here and go back into this, and borax, acid tank car, 28. Why is my spreadsheet saying 36? So I will show you why. So, oops, I'm going to do something here. Hang on. Okay, so we're going to go back and let's transport to borax so we can see what we're working with. All right, so now the first thing you notice is I've got the orange tags. We got orange dots on the rails. This is the industry tag, BOR. The orange dots simply mean that if a car is parked anywhere where those orange dots are, then it will actually count. As soon as you drop the car and disconnect it, the timer starts. Okay, and you can see how the dots go all the way to the end of the track and they go all the way up. But we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tracks here, and the first one if we look at the acid tank car. Let me turn this off. Oh, I don't want that on. Hang on. I want this. There we go. Turn that off, and you'll see how I came up with 36. So what you do in order to get into fly mode, that's simply left shift and 12. And then if you hold down the E key, you go up. D is left. Typical motion. I don't need to go into that into too much detail. And if you're pointed down and go forward, you're going to go down. If you're pointed and go forward, you're going to go up. So typical motions. You guys can figure that out. You don't need me to tell you. So we do have, like I said, 6 tracks. So the way I'm approaching this industry is one track is for the acid cars, another track is for the 2-bay covered hoppers, and another track is for box cars. Doesn't matter you don't have to get that technical. If you want to, hey, 2-bay covered hoppers, you got the little shed right there. This is for covered hoppers. Well, the nice thing with this industry is you can put a lot of cars on the first 3 set of tracks, and when you bring another load out, you can put them on the second 3 and then pull out the ones that were loaded. They're still going to count because if you remember, I have dots on everything. Even that 7th track, if we put extra overflow cars there, that they'll still get worked. If you ever look at industries as you're driving around, and we've got one here by where I work, they have their own little local switch engine. So you just assume that you're dropping it off. You don't have to worry about switching it. The company's going to switch it themselves. Okay. So how did I go back to what I was going to do? How did I figure it out? I can hold 36. Okay, so it said initially if we go back, I say I have 36 on the acid tank cars. But if I look at the industry itself, acid tank cars was 28. So let's take a look. So I don't want that. I want that. There we go. So that's left control and F1 brings up the train maker up panel. And what I want to do, let me clear everything here. Clear. There we go. I'm going to look at, we have tank cars. Under tank cars, here's our acid. We have 2. So simple, typical, left control and click on both of those. And then I can do, and we look over here, rail units, cars 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, up to 28. Okay, so I got 28 acid tank cars. And so, but my spreadsheet says 36. Why? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the train. And if I come down here and just put it right near the end and click, you can see how far out 28 cars go. So if I do Shift and W, I can go a little bit faster, or Control W goes real fast. I have a lot more going out this way. Okay, so if I come back and say I'm going to do 36, okay, and then go place train, all right, let's go back all the way up here so I can see the end of the track. Very close, very similar. Okay, so that's 36, and you can see the difference. Okay, and I could actually even go more. I could go 40, whatever, but I thought 36 is enough because I'm also thinking about the train itself. All right, how long is this train? Because I'm not only going to have 36 tank cars, I'm going to do 36 box cars, 36 two-bay covered hoppers. So now if I look at the spreadsheet, so yeah, 36, 36, 36. So I'm going to go back into, first of all, let me get rid of these. How do you get rid of them? Just simply click on the car and click delete. Click on the car, click delete. Now they're gone. Okay, so I'm going to go back in to here and acid tank cars, 36. 37 would have been fine. 36. And two bay covered hoppers, 36. So there's a reason we're going to make these changes here. We're not going to change the hours for turnaround time, but this is how we're going to do it. And then, of course, once we make those changes, we're going to say save. So that's basically how I'm adjusting an industry. If you wanted to, you could even go so far as come in here. This is borax. You could change the name, lazy farmer, whatever. Change the tag, local freight tag. You can change all this and have fun with it, play with it, figure out, hey, if I do this, it breaks. Don't do that again. Put it back the way you had it. Save your configuration files. Obviously, always save your configuration files. So anyway, so now I've got an industry. We're good to go. Let's go figure out how to set up a supply train. So what I want to do is go back to the yard. And what I did is hit F3, which brings up your dispatcher panel, and you can just, that's what the little flashing is where I ended up going, but I could pick different areas. Or if there was cars in here, I could click on them. It would take me right to the cars. But then you hit the space bar and you get that transport, the Star Trek transporter sound, and away you go. All right. So something that I could do, let's go to here. All right. So I'm going to look at the receiving yard because I kind of want to play with the hump yard, and that'll be the next video that I do. But what we're going to do is we're going to put a train in here that's going to have cars that are going to be for that particular local. All right, so same thing. We're going to go into left control I, bring up the, oh, I'm sorry, no, left control L. Okay, I'll get it. Left control F1. Okay, I'll get it. I told you I'd get it. There we go. Okay, so we know we need, do we need 36? It can hold 36, but do we need 36? Probably not. So let's say for this particular first local, we're going to do, I got the 2 ASIC tank cars here. Let's do 16. And I'm just going to throw those in there. 16. And then we're going to come down here to boxcars. We'll do the same thing. I can just do, we'll grab, which boxcars do I want? I don't want the big one. We'll just grab these top ones here, and I'm going to hold down the control key and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And do that twice. So we got 16 of those. And then we want 2-bay covered hoppers. So we want these. And the covered hoppers we want that are 2-bay, I believe, are these here. So we're going to just do the same thing. We're just going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And there we go. Okay, so now we've got basically enough cars for that particular industry, but we have 2 other industries out there. So with these 2 other industries, and I'm going to do something else on here. If we want, now this is if I want to set it up and not have to switch it. So let's take a look. Let's tab out. Okay, so Edwards Air Force Base will take 24 boxcars. All right, so we're going to go back to boxcars. And we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, and 24 boxcars there. And then we tab back to our thing. We look, North American will take 18 2-bay covered hoppers. So we'll get some more of those. So I said 18. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, no. 9. 18. Okay, so we've got all of our cars for that particular local. So now, what's the next thing that we want to do? Well, if we want to run it just as a local and get it out of the yard and go, okay, we can do that. We can drop the cars and put a couple, 2, 3 engines on the front of it, and out to the local we can go. Or the first thing that we can do is we can save this, but then we can also maybe look at changing the order, reorder this, go in, which means we have to go in first and then tag the cars we want, and then go through and reorder it. But right now we're just going to go through and do a random reorder, and then make sure. We also want to make sure that they're properly loaded. If they're loaded, if they're empty, they're supposed to be empties. Things that we need to change, we'll fix that in another video. So for right now, we're just going to go ahead and place this particular train. So I want to get all the way down, come all the way down here. All right, so I'm going to go right here, and nope, I need to face the other way. If I click here, this train is going to go out, and I don't want it to do that. So I need to face in this direction. All right, and let's go back. I'm just scrolling out. There. So that's our entire consist. for that particular local. It comes all the way down here. But you look and you see the cars all have none on them. They don't have any destinations. So for right now, that is how first stage of building a local, or a train for a particular local industry. And at this point, I'm going to bring this video to a stop. My next stage will be on how I will go about tagging all these trains or all these cars for the proper industry. And then maybe even once they're tagged, reorder them so I can push them through the hump yard and then bring them out and set them up on the local yard here to go out, which is the proper prototypical way of doing it. Or maybe, like I said, we can just run them, put an engine on the end of it, and head out, tag that engine correctly, and then head out. And so, yeah, my next one, and that's probably what we'll end up doing, but my next one will be, next video is going to be on tagging the cars for the proper industry, and putting an engine on, how to tag an engine, so that Auto, the AI of the game, will properly route you to the proper destination, and we'll go from there. So thanks, guys. This is the Lazy Farmer. Thanks for hanging out with me and watching this video. It has been an absolute pleasure. You're going to see me go in here. Stream ending. There it is. So, all right. Anyway, thanks again. Have a great day.